Welcome to a members topic video. This is a first of a kind here on OG55. We are reaching out to members of the channel and we are asking them if, any topic they want, we will discuss basically. So what they'll do is they'll go ahead and give us a topic, and George and I, or whoever our panel is, will discuss that topic guaranteed. We're going to do this every so often, every few weeks, pretty fairly frequently for the members. Now, this is one of those days. We took a topic from member J Brad. We're going to talk about it, break it down up next on this episode of OG55. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55. Like I said, this is a new thing we are starting on the channel where members get to pick topics that we will discuss. Okay, I put out a call to action, so to speak, in our members community tab, and I said anyone that posts a topic, I gave them like 48 hours or something like that, and anyone that posts a topic here that's a member, we will make a whole video dedicated to your topic. So this is the beginning of that. So if you would like us to answer or to do a topic that's on your mind, become a member and we will guarantee make an entire video on it. But before we dive in, George the Italiano, welcome back, sir.
Thanks for having me back on. And it's going to be great. It's going to be interesting to see like how this works out with the members, submitting in their questions. We do the videos because we want to cater a little bit to the members, that they're, on that level tier, more so than what Disney does for the Magic Key tiers. So.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. 100%. Yeah, I mean, we're always open to topic ideas here on the channel. So you don't necessarily have to be a member to like have our ear. We're open to it. We're open to topics all the time. But in this particular circumstance, when I put these call to actions out for, this member topic thing that we're doing, we're guaranteed to make a video on it. Like if you post it, we will make a video on it, So we have 10 of them. We got 10 great topics from our members, and all 10 of those will become their own videos. So look out in the next week or so for all these to kind of trickle in. But the first one that we're doing, George picked this one to be the number one video that we're going to start off with. This is from our friend John Bradford, as everyone at home knows, J Brad. So J Brad here says, between Disney's Bronze Age and post-Renaissance era, which of the two do you think is most unfairly underrepresented in the parks? And what kinds of rides and attractions would you dedicate to the films within them? Okay, so the Bronze era, George, from what I understand, is like, Oliver and Company, Robin Hood, Aristocats, like Black Cauldron, right?
Rescuers.
These are the Rescuers. This is kind of like, in my opinion, kind of a dark age for Disney animation, because it was like after Walt passed away in 1966 and like before Eisner came in and kind of like, gave the studio life again, basically. It's that weird in-between stage, but that doesn't mean that all these films are bad necessarily. But you have that, and then you have the post-Renaissance, which I would consider films like Atlantis, Emperor's New Groove, Lilo and Stitch, Treasure Planet. Those would be like the post-Renaissance. Would you agree with that, sir?
I would agree. Yes.
Okay. All right. So between those two, go ahead.
Tarzan would be like, I would say, the final movie like of the Renaissance era, like at the end of like 99. Once it moves into 2000, like with the Emperor's New Groove, that's, I would say, like that was the starting point of like post.
Of the post. Okay. So in terms of the parks, because this is a parks question. Basically, it's kind of both. It's kind of an animation and a parks question, but which era has been underrepresented in the parks unfairly is what he's asking. If I'm looking at both of these, I would say the post, well, Yeah, I would say the post-Renaissance.
Mhm.
Yes, you have Lilo and Stitch, which is highly represented, but most of the other stuff is like dead and buried. You don't get a lot of Treasure Planet, very little, if any. You don't get a lot of Atlantis, right? Emperor's New Groove. I mean, you really don't see any of this stuff. Like, at least when it comes to the Bronze Age, like, well, actually, you have to think of it. There isn't a whole lot of that
I think
either.
they both are like kind of get the short end of the stick because with Disney's mentality, and this is kind of wrong in a way, that if it's not a huge hit by numbers of the box office,
Yeah.
that means it would be a dud IP to utilize in the parks. But that's not necessarily true. You could still have a dud of a movie and it still be a good movie, but it just didn't do fairly well at the box office and still have a kick-ass attraction.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the thing too. We talk about the Bronze Age, which Black Cauldron is part of that. We've done many, many videos, George, on this channel about Villain's Land coming to Magic Kingdom.
Mhm.
Yes, Black Cauldron was a flop, okay? It was one of Disney's biggest animated flops, but it has one of the best Disney animated villains of all time that rivals Maleficent, in my opinion, with the Horn King. We've
Mhm.
been talking, how cool would it be to have the Horn King somehow in Villain's Land? I get it, Disney. Black Cauldron didn't do well, but that character would fit perfect in that land. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think they'll do it. I mean, in my opinion, you might get some little homage to it, some hidden little homage somewhere, or whatever. But they're not going to build like an animatronic Horn King or nothing badass like that. Because
That would be awesome, though.
oh, dude, it'd be incredible. And if they do, I will gladly eat that crow and I will be so happy. I would do video after video praising Disney if they did that, but they're not going to do that. These films, both eras, have really been underrepresented. When's the last time you've seen anything Robin Hood in the parks, George?
The last time, honestly, was not even as an attraction, but just like the characters themselves. I remember meeting Friar Tuck and the Sheriff of Nottingham back in 2000 at Walt Disney World.
Yeah, and they
I don't
might.
even think they even do meet and greets anymore with those characters.
I no, not on a regular basis. There might have been some like upcharge after hours event where it was like, where you could meet them in like some sort of special way because it's like an after hours thing.
Yeah, I think they had them on maybe like for like Moonlight Magic or something.
Yeah, every blue moon, Moonlight Magic, like every blue moon you get it, but you don't get a lot of Robin Hood. You don't get any rescuers really.
No.
I don't remember much of anything. I mean, rescuers. Treasure Planet is like, you can't buy Treasure Planet merch to save your life. I mean, we got a little bit of Treasure Planet in Wondrous Journeys, but that show featured every single animated movie in some form or fashion. So it's like, but that's it, So it's sad. Atlantis, same thing. Go to Disneyland and try to find yourself an Atlantis hat or a T-shirt or a Spirit jersey or anything. I mean,
I feel like that those films don't get the recognizable credibility that they deserve. They should at least have a chance to see, I'm not saying deck out everything in Atlantis or Treasure Planet or Brother Bear or what have you, but maybe have like a small little apparel section to say, hey, this is of this is of that. I do remember back in the early days of DCA 1.0 that the Emperor's New Groove characters were kind of showcased a little bit in the Hollywoodland area for like a meet and greets. But I mean, as far as I would love to see a Cusco-topia kind of like built into like a land. I think that would be really cool. A lot of the our listeners mentioned Cusco-topia, that it would kind of fit in an odd way in like Animal Kingdom, because it has that kind of like outdoor oasis kind of feel to it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, there's potential here. I mean, if you took, Treasure Planet would be, and we actually talked about Treasure Planet quite a bit actually with J Brad when he was on the channel recently, because he had a great idea to build a whole park around that Discovery Bay concept from Tony Baxter. And how perfect would a Treasure Planet fit in a park like that, But I mean, think of the technology that we have nowadays, what you can do with that. You know, you can ride that giant ship, and you can have, like, honestly, you can kind of do like what they're doing with the Ministry of Magic over there at Epic Universe, where you have the giant screens and this big vehicle that kind of bobs you around or whatever. But the big vehicle in this case wouldn't be like those elevators. It'll be the giant ship from Treasure Planet. And you go through all these amazing scenes. You can have projection mapping and all kinds of crazy stuff. That would make it a crazy e-ticket.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And the thing is that a lot of times the popularity of the franchise or the lack of popularity of the franchise doesn't always dictate how popular or unpopular an attraction is going to be, right? So you have Monsters Incorporated at DCA, which is not a big draw for anybody. It's always like a 15-minute wait, you know? But then you have Waterworld over at Universal, which was one of Hollywood's biggest flops, one of Hollywood's biggest well-known flops of all time. And that show's been going on for decades, and it's one of the most popular stunt shows of all time, despite the fact it was based on an unpopular IP, you know?
Well, look at even Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. You know, that ride is very popular. You know, families, kids go on it, but little do they know, does anyone really know the story of The Wind in the Willows? You know, that's what Mr. Toad is based off of.
Exactly. So you can have very popular IP and the attraction could fall flat. You can have an IP that really no one even knows about and can hit really, really hard. So Disney should be more aware of that. Now, I get it. They're a mega corp and they try to reduce risk as much as possible. That's why we get things like based on Marvel. That's why we get things based on Frozen and these big franchises.
And yet that J. Brad mentioned the Bronze Era and the post-Renaissance era. But if we actually look in the middle of that sandwich, the Renaissance era itself, the most successful moments of Disney animation,
Goose egg.
Starting it off with The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, all those films that won Academy Awards, that did record numbers for those times in the 90s. Why don't we have no representation of those in the park? I have no idea.
I don't either. And people can scream to the mountaintops about how Bob Iger is a bad person because it never happened. It's not just Bob Iger, y'all. Michael Eisner didn't build these attractions. It took until 2011 to get a Little Mermaid attraction. That film came out in 1989. Not only did that film come out in 1989, but it was one of the most pivotal moments in Disney animation history. It saved animation and really did save the company in a lot of ways. It was Howard Ashman's, Disney legend, Howard Ashman's first film. The music in The Little Mermaid is some of the best music in Disney's catalog, and you're not talking about a catalog with weak songs. Disney has some of the most iconic music out there, and The Little Mermaid is among the best of those songs. And it took that long to have a Little Mermaid ride. We're just now getting a Lion King attraction over in Paris. That movie came out in 94. Was that 30 years ago?
Yeah.
I mean, we have the stupid magic carpet spinner over there at Magic Kingdom. I guess that counts as Aladdin, but
yeah,
barely.
And then Beauty and the Beast. I think honestly, one of the best films of all time in general, animated or not. The very first ever Best Picture nominated feature, which I'm sorry, I think should have won over Silence of the Lambs. Sorry, Silence of the Lambs crowd. You know, I enjoy the movie, but I mean, it can't hold a candle, no pun intended, to Beauty and the Beast. Nothing. The only thing I think in the domestic parks that we have as a representation is the Beauty and the Beast live stage show over at Hollywood Studios.
Right. Exactly. So there's a lot of underrepresented franchises, and a lot of these franchises have a lot of potential in terms of attractions. A Robin Hood attraction has a lot of potential. You know, you can do a trackless vehicle, and your vehicle can dodge and weave the arrows. You know, you can utilize the same technology of, like, you know, Indiana Jones at the very end when your Jeep is shaking and the darts are going over your head. Mm-hmm. You can utilize some similar technology with Robin Hood with that, where you feel like the arrows are whizzing past you as you're going through the scenes. You know, it doesn't even have to necessarily be an e-ticket. I get it. It's Robin Hood. It's not like, you know, it's super hot right now. But you can do a small dark ride and utilize cool technology like that.
But here's the thing: you say that it's not super hot right now, but what if an attraction brings back that popularity for the feature, that it gets people to say, you know what, this is a really good ride. That makes me want to go back and rewatch it.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
absolutely, 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 and that's the thing, you know, it's just that Disney. I see that, I see it that way too, George. It's just Disney likely
right?
doesn't, you know.
Exactly.
But Black Cauldron, like I said, there's so much potential there with utilizing like the villain in that
Could you still
franchise.
see them utilizing the Horn King in the Villain's Land?
I mean, I hope they do. I mean, I hope they do. I don't know if there's like an eagerness for Disney to do that, but if they do that, man, I mean, that would be something really cool.
I just
He's
think that it's so interesting that they incorporated him in the roster.
mhm.
Like they incorporated the Horn King over Scar and Dr. Facilier.
So wait, he's in the official roster?
Well, I mean, I think he was in that roster that they had mentioned. No, I take that back. He was in the Scar and Dr. Facilier was in that initial roster, like of the list. I can't remember who were the villains that they showcased at D23 Brazil.
Yeah.
That was
He,
like on the screen.
yeah, he wasn't there, unfortunately. He wasn't on there. But I think all the main villains were on there except for Scar, which surprised me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Horn King was a no-brainer. Now, there's certain movies like Oliver and Company, for example, right? And I've kind of, it's funny, I've kind of railed against this movie just because it's very dated. If you
No
watch,
pun intended.
yeah, it's very dated. So when you watch Oliver and Company, it screams, "Hello, 1980s." You know what I'm saying? There's not a whole lot you can do with that. Like, I wouldn't want an attraction based on Oliver and Company because of that reason. But like, if they ever did like 80s night at Disneyland, Oliver and Company would be like a perfect kind of franchise to have incorporated into something like that. You can definitely do that in the parks. Great Mouse Detective, you know, was kind of like Disney's version of like the Don Bluth stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like their American Tale or Secret of Nymph, those kind of stories.
Well, and that even to Oliver and Company kind of gave off like that Don Bluth
Kind of.
to it as well. Which I think, well, actually, that would make sense because Don Bluth actually, I think, worked on those films while he was at the studio.
Yeah, and you got Rescuers, which I that's one of the few franchises where I like the sequel more than the original. I think Rescuers,
I would actually say an attraction would work really well with the Rescuers if you did it with Rescuers Down Under.
oh, absolutely. If you built a we don't have Australia in Animal Kingdom, do we?
No.
If you had an Australian area in Animal Kingdom and you had a big ride based on Rescuers Down Under, you're flying that giant eagle, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you. Oh, wait, hold on. I think I got. Yeah, here we go. Here we go, bro. You're flying. You know, that would be amazing. But I mean, but there's so much potential here with these franchises. But Disney is so hesitant to even jump into it because of the fact that, you know, a lot of these aren't really popular right now. But like we said earlier on the show, the franchise doesn't have to be for the attraction to be. Mr. Toad is a perfect example of that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like Cars. I don't really like that franchise. I gotta be honest with you. You know, it's not really my thing. But Cars Land at DCA is one of my favorite theme park things.
Well, I mean, even like the franchise as a whole. I mean, with Cars. I mean, I think the first movie was the best. Cars 3 was kind of like the continuation of Cars 1, kind of like how the legacy of Lightning McQueen passing it on. And then Cars 2. Well, anyway. But
Yeah, right.
yeah. But yeah, I agree with you. It's like, but it's not the strongest out of the Pixar films. But when you look at it as a
there you go. I have a Cars 2 sound effect, George.
there you go. But when you look at Radiator Springs, like Cars Land in DCA, to me, as I said, that's my favorite land in all of DCA.
Exactly. I mean, you have one of the biggest franchises right now of all time, Inside Out, which has that stupid emotional whirlwind at DCA, which is a sin.
Yeah, that it was only reskinned from Flix Flyers from A Bug's Land.
I mean, that franchise deserves so much more. But this is the issue, though. You know, you have a big corporation who, and we will likely see a bigger Inside Out
Yeah.
presence in the parks. I'm sure like
I
Epcot
think
or
honestly,
something.
we would get a bigger Inside Out attraction probably at Epcot.
Yeah.
Before.
Epcot would be the park to put it in.
Yeah.
Because you can play into the Epcot mission statement and you can have that edutainment, but you're also appeasing Burbank because it's a huge IP.
Yeah.
So you can educate, which is like Epcot's thing, but then you also have that big franchise in Inside Out too, where you can sell the merch like crazy, you know?
Yeah.
But here's the thing with a lot of these movies, like if you look at the Bronze era, like Robin Hood, Great Mouse Detective, Oliver and Company, Black Cauldron Rescuers, they're okay movies. I mean, but the issue though is that a lot of them are kind of what's the word for it? They're smaller films though. Like I feel like to make an attraction on some of these would be a little challenging, I think, you know, but I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because based off of like the storyline and what you have to work with,
Like a
but
Great
even
Mouse Detective, you couldn't do like a big ticket on that one.
no, but like even like subtleties, really, like you take the film like The Sword in the Stone, they added the Sword in the Stone float in Magic Happens, which I was very surprised.
Me too.
And then also adding Madam Mim into Oogie Boogie Bash. So it's like they still know that these characters exist. It's just where they want to utilize them is like very far in between.
And that's a great point. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing, right? So it doesn't have to be like either a big attraction for these films or nothing. Disney could sort of like give us little tidbits. Okay, you don't want to give us a full-blown Rescuers attraction. So why don't you give us a Rescuers float in a parade or some other kind of theme park thing to sort of like have that franchise live on? Treasure Planet, you know, you can do that, something similar. I mean, if you had, oh gosh, can you imagine a Treasure Planet Paint the Night float?
Oh man.
Could you imagine how dope that would be, dude? I mean, that
Treasure
would
Planet and Atlantis, I think, would be a really good add-ons for Paint the Night floats.
or even like segments in like World of Color or even Fantasmic, because now Fantasmic, they switch up the IP too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you put them in for Wondrous Journeys, which was awesome. Kudos to Disney for that. I will say, but why not more? Why not have Atlantis represented in Fantasmic or Treasure Planet or something? You know, the Treasure Planet segment in World of Colors, I mean, in Wondrous Journeys is amazing. It's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, it's very, very cool. So,
and I know this film is not part of either. I wouldn't even call it I mean, it was during the Renaissance era, but it's not a Renaissance Disney film. But I love how it's kind of making its own way back in a sense, because I absolutely loved this movie when it first came out. I saw it in theaters. And I love how the representation is starting to come back more and more is a Goofy movie. I love how they're going to incorporate the power line into World of Color. I love how they have it obviously for 90s night as part of the Disneyland series.
And Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway has power limes, you know, little homages. Actually, the Toontown renovation incorporated a lot of Disney afternoon stuff, which is kind of cool.
It did, yes. I love how they incorporated kind of Chippendale into the Gadgets Go coaster, even though that was still already like Disney Afternoon. Not my favorite little mini coaster, but I'm still glad that they kept it as what it was. I'm still glad they kept Roger Rabbit, because Lord knows we'll probably see no more of him like added moving forward. So
no. Yeah. And especially not Jessica, you know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Not Jessica, no way. No, I mean, but Lilo and Stitch now is post-Renaissance. Now that one I think is going to get a lot of representation because I feel like that's still a big franchise. And from what I'm hearing in Japan, Stitch is like hugely popular. Mm-hmm. But I think even in America, I think Stitch's merch moves really well because I see a lot of it. And they have that live action movie coming out, which I think is going to do a lot of money. I'm not going to go as far as to say $1 billion. I don't know if it's $1 billion film, but I think it's going to be a success for Disney. So I think we will see more Lilo and Stitch. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some new Stitch attraction, whether that be at Florida, whether that be in California. I don't know. But if this live action movie hits, I could see them revisiting Stitch for an attraction again.
Well, especially because they were going to release it just on Disney Plus. It was supposed to be a Disney Plus exclusive. But the fact that they're moving it to theaters means that they see the potential that this movie could bring in money. And honestly, I'm more excited for the Lilo and Stitch live action than I ever will be for Snow White, unfortunately, because I absolutely love the story of Snow White. It was literally what they call Disney's folly. It basically spearheaded the Disney animation empire. It spearheaded practically the whole entire company. And to not do it justice with I'm sorry, Disney, the piece of crap that you're producing is it's sacrilege.
Yeah, for that particular film, absolutely. Walt loved the story of Snow White, and that was another, like Little Mermaid, and it was another milestone moment for Disney. Even bigger than Little Mermaid, obviously. Snow White was huge, and to disrespect it like that. And again, this has nothing to do with Rachel, because I like Rachel Ziegler, I do. I think she seems like a sweet girl, and hey, she's a baddie, she's cute. But I have nothing against her. I thought she was amazing in West Side Story, the recent West Side Story movie, Steven Spielberg. I thought she was great in that. I just the movie itself doesn't look good. It's mostly the dwarves that I have the issue with, and the CGI looks like dog shit. But that's a whole nother conversation, whole nother video. But interesting question from J Brad though. Overall, this is going to be the forever sort of thing though, because I think Disney. I think with these corporations, they're gonna focus more and more on the sure thing. So when you look at the upcoming stuff coming to these parks, look what's coming to DCA. Just DCA alone, you have Avatar, which each one of those movies made $2 billion. I mean, one of the most successful film franchises of all time, even though everyone says they don't like it, which I don't get. But Avatar is huge. Marvel, the MCU, is huge. I get it. It went through a rough patch, you know what I'm saying? But it's still a very popular franchise. We're getting the Marvel stuff, and we're getting Coco, which is one of Disney's biggest franchises, hugely popular. So they're going for the sure thing now. You build a Robin Hood ride in Disneyland, they don't know how that's going to go. And like we're saying, if you build the right attraction, it can be hugely popular, like Mr. Toad. But Disney isn't willing, unfortunately, to put the money down and risk it. They want that built-in audience. They want to be able to promote that thing and go, yeah, that thing is going to bring in at least a baseline amount of people just off of the IP, like Frozen would or Avatar would. Unfortunately, these other movies like Atlantis and Robin Hood and Great Mouse Detective, those are not. That's not what Disney's looking for, and it's sad because some of these movies have a lot of potential.
Yeah, and as we said even before, even with the Renaissance era, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, Disney's not even. They don't even need to take a risk on that. They could build a domestic parks version of the Enchanted Tale of Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, dude.
And that's all you would need. With Aladdin, you can do like a sort of like a romantic tunnel of love thing, kind of like you fly on the magic carpet. You have like the projection mapping, like you're flying in the night sky and everything set to the melody of a whole new world. Or if you want to do something a little bit more adventurous, we were talking about Villains Land. You can kind of go into like the Cave of Wonders, and then you board the magic carpet, and you have to escape out of the tiger's head before it collapses on you. Like, come on,
dude, come on. There's so much potential with this stuff, but yeah, we'll see. Every now and then Disney does surprises. But yeah, it'd be kind of cool to get some more representation of these films in these parks. So we'll see how it shakes out. But excellent question from our good friend J Brad. J Brad is a friend of the channel. He made his first appearance here on OG55 a few days ago. He did a phenomenal job, and actually, a lot of you loved him. A lot of you out there, our audience really loved J Brad. So we're definitely going to bring him back on and talk parks and all that good stuff again. he's really brilliant and just a lot of fun. So now, before we get out of here, we do have, I think, like several more of these member topics in the community tab, and we're going to be doing each and every one of those. Every single one, we will be making a whole video on it. So look out for those. We will be doing, again, very, very soon, a call to action, so to speak, for members to give us more topics. And we'll, again, in that, we will do each topic and guarantee a video for each topic. So, you know what I'm saying? I mean, within reason. Obviously, if you give us a topic of like, can we talk about, you know, your ball hair? No, we're not doing that, guys. Okay. But within reason, okay, within reason, which everyone's been awesome. So we have an amazing set of questions. So it's going to be really, really cool. But yeah, so first go at this, but we have a lot more coming up. But George, any final thoughts or questions before we get out of here?
Yeah, just to kind of echo what you were saying, I think this is a great idea that we decided to do for members, and it also creates more content for everybody. And looking forward to doing some of the the rest of the questions. And if anybody else who is a member, please, if you haven't submitted a topic, please do. For all of you who are not members, we still love you, but if you want to join in on having a guaranteed topic that you may want us to discuss, if you want to become a member and submit in your question, opinion, thought, concern, you know, we look forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. The Italiano, where can the good people at home find you on social media?
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You can also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
So George is 1 week away.
1 week today from the time of this recording, I will be an official Cali resident.
I'm going to knight you a Californian.
Hi, Monster on the beat, ho.
There we go. You are officially a Californian. Here we go. One more time. Knighting George.
Hi, Monster on the beat, ho.
There we go. You're a Californian, sir. Yeah, everybody home, comment down below with all your thoughts on everything we talked about today in terms of the Bronze Era, the post-Renaissance, how they're very much underrepresented in the Disney parks. What are your thoughts on it? Do you think they should add more like we think they should? What kind of offerings do you think they should add if they do add them into the parks? We would absolutely love to hear from you. If you're not a member, become a member, and we're going to do these very, very frequently. So again, we'll make a whole video off of your topic. Until next time, everybody, have a great day and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Take it away.
Thank you for watching OG55. If you aren't already, consider becoming a member today.